Podject Los Angeles, episode 6, and I have the 2 coolest guests in the world, and they're actually my blood relatives, believe it or not. These sexy beasts right here. We have Marcus Alexander the Great in the middle right there. Hey!
Hey there.
And then we have Daniel Alexander also. Wait a minute. You guys both have the same middle name?
Marcus' middle name isn't Alexander, it's Anthony.
Oh, it's Anthony. Why was I calling him Alexander? I don't even know my brother's
You could call me whatever you want, baby.
How you doing over there, Daniel Stinko Man?
I'm doing good. Life is great.
Nice. Are you guys ready to talk about some JoJo and anime today?
I'm always ready to talk about some JoJo and anime today.
I'm ready to talk about JoJo as long as it's not past part 5. Stone Ocean, Steel Ball Run, JoJolion. Those are all manga only so far.
From what I've heard, Stone Ocean's actually supposed to be coming out at the end of this year.
What?
They're supposed to start making it at the end of this year. So hopefully we'll be getting the anime here pretty soon, like in the next like 10 months or so.
2021 beginning maybe.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like either
nice.
end of this year or beginning of next year. We're supposed to be getting Stone Ocean start. So
for starters, I thought it would be a good way to open up. Daniel, I want to know how you got into anime and what was the first anime show you got into?
I actually started way back in the days of Adult Swim. I think it was back in 2003, 2004. That was back when I first started watching. It was Full Metal Alchemist, Dragon Ball Z, and then Inuyasha. Those were like the first 3 shows that I started watching for anime. I watched all Dragon Ball Z, and I was like, this shit's awesome. Because Dragon Ball Z, you can't really go wrong with that. If you like fighting anime, that's like the fighting anime to watch. And then Full Metal Alchemist, another one that's just like, even to this day, it's still a classic. I've rewatched that one, I think, 3 or 4 times. Inuyasha I haven't rewatched, but yeah, those are what got me into anime. Was I watched it a lot when I was younger, and then I kind of just like went from there. Like after that, I kind of just kept watching different shows, looking up like different stuff online, and then now it's gone to the point where I think I've probably watched probably over 100 different series of anime.
I forgot that Adult Swim was like the first of the shows that was like on the somewhat kid channel that started introducing anime, right?
Well, yeah, because Adult Swim, they were the ones that had Dragon Ball Z actually showed on Adult Swim and on Toonami, so that one was on both.
Yeah.
But they were the ones that showed like Cowboy Bebop, they showed like Gundam, they showed Gurren Lagann, like they showed like all the different ones that back in the day were like more adult animes. Adult Swim had it all.
Well, I think I remember watching Toonami, and I would watch Dragon Ball Z like on Kazaa or LimeWire, and there would be no blood or close to no blood on Toonami, and then on the other real full versions there was like full blood and like arms were
I think the blood thing was probably the biggest thing that set an anime to be only on Adult Swim and not on the normal kids channels during the daytime.
How about you, Marcus? How did you get into anime, and what was your first show that you got into that you remember?
I think it wasn't the first show I got into, but like Daniel, I think the first one I ever saw was Inuyasha. I think watching with him because we had like the DVD that had all the episodes on it. And I don't think I really understood what was happening on it since I was too young. I think I was like 4 or 5 when I was seeing it, so I don't really understand what was happening. But the first one I do remember and was into was Full Metal Alchemist, hosted on Adult Swim.
Yeah.
The first original series before
Brotherhood.
I think the creator had actually finished the manga, so they just made up their own ending for the series, which I still thought really good. The next major time I can remember getting back into anime, I think, was when I went to college, like my first semester, because they had an anime club there, where there's a whole bunch of people who came and just talked about it, and we had like a Wednesday showing every night. We watched like 3 different series. And I think that is what made me go back into watching a lot of them. That's when I started watching JoJo, actually. I think during my second year.
That's actually pretty cool. That anime.
My friend recommended it to me. But yeah, that's what got me back to it. That's how I started watching JoJo, and JoJo is probably my favorite one, I have to say.
Dang, you got like a perfect introduction into it because the anime club. I'd never heard of any anime clubs at my college, or maybe I just didn't know where to look for them.
Well, that actually brings up a good question though. So I mean, For you, because I think Marcus has like the ideal situation of getting into anime. Like he went to a place where a bunch of people were already watching it. People had good recommendations, and everybody already knew the good shows to watch. So I would say, is that kind of how you think your situation is right now with getting into it? Is for you, Adrian?
It's almost like a hybrid of the two because so Dragon Ball Z was by far the first show I got into that was anime, and that came out 89, so even before I was born. And then honestly, when Jojo even became a thing that I knew even existed, it was because you two were talking about it so much every time I would go back home and you guys would talk like never ending talk about Jojo. I was like, enough is enough. I'm gonna watch it. So I looked up where to find it, and originally I found it on Crunchyroll or Netflix. Every anime show I've watched until now, besides Dragon Ball Z, has been in Japanese. I don't watch any of the English dubs because I think that's like another discussion, but I think it sounds horrible. And Daniel knew like more or less my whole journey about like my skepticism, because I was very skeptical every season of JoJo. Like I was fighting to turn it off, and then I would fall in love with it, and then I would fight to turn it off, and then fall in love with it. Like Daniel knew exactly what I was going through all the way up until Golden Wind.
I think that's kind of like the normal JoJo experience, though. 'Cause I think it's such a. I mean, the title of the show kind of does the show justice with calling it Bizarre Adventures, because it really is it's extremely bizarre the more you watch the show, and you kind of like fall in and out of love with it, and then you watch the whole series, and you're like, holy crap, this whole show is a masterpiece.
From 1 through 5, what would you say the order if you could choose your order?
So starting from best to
from the best to worst, best to worst season.
So for me personally, the best to worst, best is Stardust Crusaders, then Part 2 Battle Tendencies, then Golden Wind. I would say after that Phantom Blood, and then for me Diamond Unbreakable is like the last one. I won't talk too much about the other ones because I like all the other ones. For Part 4 specifically, I just kind of feel like it's a little bit all over the place.
It's strange because Battle Tendency uses Hamon, but that's your second favorite one, but Phantom Blood is second to last.
Well, so I guess more the reasoning for mine it's not so much the powers that I like in Part 2, it's more the character development and the people that they introduce. Like introducing Joseph Joestar for the first time. And Joseph is like this like hood rat like street kid who just like goes around and like is like causing all this trouble. And then there's von Stroheim, which is like one of my favorite characters in all of the JoJo series.
German engineering is the greatest technology in the world.
Yeah, von Stroheim is awesome.
What about you, Marcus? What would be your order of the seasons?
This is a good disclaimer that I do like all the parts. They're all really good.
They're all good.
But if I had to put a list on it, and there'd be some very slight variation, I'd honestly have to say probably Part 5, Golden Wind is number 1.
Okay.
Battle Tendency. I'd probably do Stardust Crusaders as number 3. Diamond Unbreakable number 4. Phantom Blood is number 5. And like Stardust Crusaders and Diamonds Unbreakable are like pretty much neck and neck. I think they are both pretty much on the same level for me. And then Phantom Blood is the last slot.
No one likes Phantom Blood. They're getting the
Phantom Blood is just
mistake.
It's honestly the hardest to get into.
You said your favorite was Golden Wind?
Yeah.
Or in Japanese, Vento Oreo.
Just say Vento Oreo. That's how you're supposed to say
Oreos.
Oreo.
Vento Oreos.
Why was that your favorite season?
I think it may just be some bias because it's fresh in my mind because that's the one I've watched most recently. But I think that mainly all their stand designs are really good. A lot of the enemies of the week they're really memorable. They're not just like, oh, well, I can't think of any bad ones off the top of my head in Part 3, but I just like all their character designs. The characters are interesting. Yeah. Giorno kind of takes the backseat to Bucciarati, which is a little weird the first time I saw it, but I still enjoyed seeing this. That while Giorno was like the lead JoJo, he wasn't necessarily taking up all the space. Because like Jotaro is almost like a domineering force in Part 3 of how much he's emphasized as like the guy who does all the things. Yeah. Pretty much like a whole bunch of the side casts like does messes up, and then they just wait until Jotaro comes in. He just like punches them in one hit, and they all die because they said, "This is yada yada yada. I'm done with you," and then he punches them. And I think there was a good build-up throughout their
the season
story of part 5. That was the last thing. I think Haraki has you can see that he's more and more polishing his own style that he wants to present as he gets further and further down the line. Like with him abandoning like the overly muscular physique from part 3 into part 4.
The truck tire shoulders.
Yeah. Which, that's the style he did. And he said, well, maybe not. And then he switches to part 4. And part 5 is the most, I feel like, distinguishable, where everyone there is slim and lithe compared to everyone in the earlier parts. And he has like the stand designs are getting more and more creative and their ideas and stuff like that, which is what I feel like makes it better.
Daniel, your favorite one was which season again?
Stardust Crusaders.
Why was that your favorite season?
Stardust Crusaders, I just liked the characters in it for the most part. I like the objective of it is that it's a group of guys, they have somebody they need to kill, and they're traveling across like the countries or world to go and find this person. Polnareff was Polnareff was like my favorite. He was like my top character in there. Joseph Joestar was also like my other favorite. The biggest reason I liked it the most is because that to me was kind of like where Araki started going into his own with his like style, because they introduced stands, they start changing the character designs. Like the way that they draw the environments is different. Like it was just a much different, and I love Dio. Dio is just one of my favorite bad guys.
And the end of Stardust is where they end up fighting Dio, and they introduce his stand being the world, or no?
Yeah.
Zawardo. And that's where they even changed that out, the intro where they do 2 different intros. It's crazy.
That was when I first saw that intro change, I was like, that's the most insane thing I've ever seen. That's amazing.
Yeah. I was gonna say I love the evolving. I just love all of the intros in general.
Oh yeah.
But the whole idea of the evolving intro, especially towards, I think part 5 does it the most, where
they do it twice.
Basically 3 different versions of the final intro. They have the base one, the one where King Crimson's power of basically eliminate time is revealed, and then the final intro where
Golden Experience
Requiem is introduced. Every single one is great. Even in the very first 5 seconds of the first Phantom Blood intro, it shows like all of the protagonists and their stands, or I think it's just protagonists, all the way up until like the current manga of like I think JoJolion or part 7 with.
I did notice that like last week.
Like every single intro is like has a visual flair and style and uniqueness. I feel like elevates it so much far beyond like so much other. I know other animes have good intros, but a lot of them kind of just end up being like formulaic almost in a way.
Yeah.
And JoJo's really breaks free of that to just be really, really good every single time. Like I feel like each one-upped the one before it somehow. I think my favorite, controversial, the boringest part 4, first half of the show, probably is my favorite intro.
Oh,
Crazy Noisy Bizarre Town. Yeah. That one's a weird, like, funk.
It's like disco music almost.
Yeah. I think my least favorite, funny enough, is the very next intro in the series, which is Chase.
Everybody hates SOP.
I don't like Chase.
It's the one that it sounds like it was recorded by, like, teenagers in a garage. And it sounds really terrible.
I kind of like the music. After a while, I don't know about the visuals. I don't know if it's my favorite, but
I mean that one. It's hard to compare that one to like Fighting Gold. I mean, Fighting Gold is like it makes you like Jojo, like it makes you get excited. Like the very first.
Fighting Gold.
Yeah, it's like the intro in Phantom Blood. Like you listen to Phantom Blood and it gets you like ready to listen. So I have a couple of favorites. So the first one, I think it's Sono no Sadame I think that's the name of the first one. That one I I love that one. It's not the top one, but I really like it just because it's like it's the JoJo. It's like the JoJo theme song. Like you listen to it, it's literally saying JoJo the whole time, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think both the intros for Star Crusaders are like both my favorites. Like those ones are both awesome. And then Fighting Gold is like my other favorite. Like Fighting Gold is just
and those songs like stand alone. They actually have full songs that like a band created, and then they just use like the first minute for the intro. What are you guys thoughts about the outros? Because the outros were all different,
so random,
but they're just like all over the place. And
random
that was another.
Didn't you tell me that you like hated the part 3 Walk Like an Egyptian outro?
I really did not like it. Like I love Stardust.
I'm sex you up.
Yeah, that one I really got upset about. Like,
about freaking you.
Like I wanted to punch my laptop because it would come on and I'm like, it would be an intense. It would be an intense part, and then all of a sudden it changes to every time I close my eyes. Like,
so yeah.
Like it would be a great episode.
So horny.
Yeah, I'm like nothing like Jojo.
Get you out of my mind.
It just goes. I really didn't like. I felt like the Walk Like an Egyptian was just a cheap excuse for an outro.
Cheap excuse.
Like I just saw like I go the
oh, but that's like the classic
beginning.
JoJo.
Yeah, that's like the
that's what they use in memes and everything.
Yeah. As soon as it gets like the end of the episode, it's to be continued.
Yeah, like it doubles
that plays perfectly.
Yeah, like that was a good idea. They should have done that for the other ones. They did an intro, an outro, and like exits for each like every commercial break, and I thought that was done well. Of all the bad things about what do you call it, Phantom Blood, they did that right.
Freaking You was like is like referencing like when Bucciarati licks Giorno, and it's like it's supposed to be actual.
Yeah,
they have him lick him, and then they have him lick, and then it freeze frames on the lick, and it cuts to Freaking You. Like, I mean, Araki is not against putting like sillier parts or ideas into an anime. There's like the whole scene from part 3 where literally like Avdol and Joseph are like humping each other in public because they got magnetized together. That's a whole bit they do for like half the episodes.
Like Pleasure with the cherry. I don't want to stop watching because I'm like, all right, this is again weird, but I want to see.
But I want to see more.
I want to see more. If you guys want to do an action pose for a screenshot that I'm going to use, now is the time to do an action pose because that's going to be our thumbnail.
So are we striking a JoJo action pose?
2 and 3. I did the one where he dresses up like a girl in the desert.
Oh, that's what you're talking about. I think it's tequila, Joseph. People say,
I brought tequila. Will you boys let me by?
Will you boys let me in?
What about you, Marcus? Which one did you do?
What was that one from?
I think I did Josuke's, but I never actually see him. I don't think I remember doing the anime, but he does a pose where he puts like his 2 hands like over his.
Yeah.
Oh, I did it wrong. Or whatever.
Nice. What about you, Daniel? What was yours?
I actually also did Joseph Joestar, and he does this weird pose where he goes like this with like one hand like that and the other hand like this over his face.
Does anyone want to give, Daniel, do you want to give a plug for anything you're working on these days, or just before we head out of here, do you want to let the viewers know what's going on in your life these days, or how they could find you?
I've been working on a company for beard oil called D&J Oils.
I'm looking forward to it. My beard is dry as a Sierra Desert right now. It's as dry as a Stardust Crusaders desert.
I like how it's dry as the Sierra Desert, not the Sahara Desert.
Sierra Desert.
The Sierra Desert.
I don't know any deserts, as you could tell, but it's
what's
dry.
a desert?
I need beard oil.
I need beard oil. That's what I do know.
I need beard oil. That's what I need. I need free beard oil. Great episode. I had a lot of fun doing this episode with you guys. Definitely. Thank you for taking the time.
It's been real. It's been good. Thank you for having me on. It's been fun.
Thanks for having me. I had a good time.
Guys.
Make sure to go play the Fallout 76, the bet game of the year, when you're done listening to the podcast.
There's the plug. There it is. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I'll see you guys later.
All right. See you later.
All right.
Adios.
See ya.
を縛り付ける重たい定めの石にまるで押しつぶされてどこにも逃げられないひたすらあがきながらだけど諦めない瓦礫の底に埋もれた希望のかけらたちきっとこの手で見つけ出すさ世界を変えるためにファイティング自分の道を信じたものだけがいつか輝ける命の限り神にも逆らい戦い続ける不屈の魂たちよファイティング